I'm not fucking leaving.
Hey, we're recording the podcast. Shut up.
Good morning to you wherever you are, because it is
Morning somewhere!
for July 10th, 2024. My name is Bernie Burns. Sitting right across from me, right over there, I can see him with my own two eyes. Today's morning someone, a DJ, a developer, an old friend of 15 years at this point.
Ooh, longer.
Yeah, longer. Ben King, everybody.
Hello.
Say hi to Ben. Ben, when did we first meet? How old were you?
I was either 14 or 15. So this is going to be a very strange story. Buckle up. No, it's fine.
This is it. This will be both a podcast followed immediately by an apology. I actually do owe you an apology. I owe you a public apology, Ben.
Okay.
Because you told me in the car yesterday that I told a story about you on the podcast.
On a different podcast.
On a different
Rooster Teeth podcast.
And I don't know when this was. Did I tell the story? Or was I part of someone telling the story?
I think it was that Barbara was there. So it was a communal story being told, yeah.
It was a collective mismemory, according to you. Mm-hmm. So one of the things, because you're about the same age as Barb and Gavin.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit younger.
I don't know, actually. No, I'm quite old.
No, I don't. Yeah.
I'm 32 now.
Do you mind saying what year you were born?
92.
You're way younger than them. You're like 4 years younger than them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Gavo's like 88. But you were, to us, you were about the same age because I was about 30 when you guys all were like coming around the office and stuff. You were from the UK. Gav was from the UK. Barbara was from Canada. Somehow we got this idea in our head. We were trying to think of things that the youths would want to do. So we thought, oh, they've never been in Texas before, Texas experience. We'll take them in a very safe environment. One of our guys has grown up around firearms. We'll take them to fire a gun because they wouldn't have a chance to do this in their country.
Yeah.
And in my memory, you got upset after we did that. And I was like, fuck you, what a stupid mistake. That was so dumb because culturally, it's like, to us, it was totally normal. But it was, you know, it's an adrenaline-filled environment. We weren't like yeehaw, pow, pow, pow in the air or anything like that. Just firing in an indoor range downfield. And you later told me, that's not why I was upset.
Yeah, so you thought you had traumatized a small child
I did.
by taking him to fire guns in Texas.
I did.
No.
But
no.
I traumatized you by what? Abandoning you, apparently.
No, yes. Well, I was just having a little tear because I was sad to be going home. And apparently everyone misconstrued it as me being sad and scared by guns. So
listen,
I love guns.
I hope you don't think there was any judgment in there. I wasn't saying judgment. I felt bad myself. But yeah, if someone's never been around a gun firing and suddenly you're in a indoor firing range and guns are being fired,
it's cool. It's a cool life. You know, it's not an experience I get to do every day. So yeah, it is good. So yeah, I forgive you.
So born and raised in the UK. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to say what town. You don't have to.
Shottingham.
Shottingham.
That's Nottingham for the non-locals.
Nottingham. Isn't that where Robin Hood hangs out?
Robin Hood, yeah. That's where he was. Is he real or is he fictional? I don't really know.
Let's just say he's real.
Okay.
Sherwood Forest, is that around you anywhere?
I've been there, yeah.
That's
a real place.
There's a collection of Britannia coins now. They're currently running. That is British legends. And they have Robin Hood, Maid Marian,
Robin Hood, yeah.
and Little John is in there. They really are. They're going deep for the legends of the British folklore.
Because I just remember there was the Disney movie where he was a fox for some reason. So that's my sort of image of him in my head is Robin Hood as a fox for some reason.
So for a young guy, you're still very old school internet. Like you were one of our first developers for the website at like 15 years old. So we had Gus first, Blake and Matt, who were Corporate Green. I just did a Patreon interview with Mark Methanitis.
Really?
Dark 54555.
Yeah.
And he's one of the old school, like going back to Drunk Gamers, admins and mods of the site forever. And we were talking about the old days of development. And can I dox you with your online handle back in the day?
Well, let's see if you can remember it.
It was Charlie Z.
That's not the one I was thinking of.
Kingsy?
Close. Keys.
That's
from Halo.
What it was.
Yeah.
Right. And you were very good at what you did, and you were also very proud and open about how good you are at what you did. And you could write scripts and fix things on the site. And so you're like, why don't we just hire this kid, like contract this kid?
Yeah, it was kind of an unconventional job application process. I basically emailed and I said, I think your website's a piece of shit. Can I make it better?
I used the word confidence. That was the best word I could come up with.
Yes. Yeah.
I liked it. I liked that you were, as a young person, you had pith and vinegar. And
no one said that before. But that's nice. Thank you.
And you were, and it was great. And you also then went on to work on the site for many years. Big thing about now is we share something in common yet again. You have now relocated. You have picked up, and you don't use the word expat for Brits, right?
It's hard to tell. I'm not quite sure which is the
I hate the
correct
term.
one.
I hate the
expat,
term.
immigrant. Yeah.
I don't know why. It sounds like you don't like your country. You're like a former patriot, and patriot seem a weird word now, Yeah. But you have moved out of the UK.
So I've last year, so about a year and a half now. So February 2023. I just decided I wanted to see some sunshine and some beaches for once.
And after 30 years of like blazing hot sun, I decided I didn't want to see that.
Yeah,
stuff
we've gone opposite directions.
We have a little bit. Yeah.
So I moved from London to Barcelona in Spain, and it's amazing. It's so great. Now, the quality of life there is so much better, personally for me. But
can you explain to me because in current events right now, there's all these anti-tourism protests going on right now in Spain.
Yeah, so I think it was on Sunday, actually, there was a big protest. There was 3,000 people in the streets. I was over here, so I actually didn't see this. But so there was a big anti-tourism protest because Barcelona is, I don't know if you know this, how like geographically it works. So it's an extremely dense, small city, and it doesn't really have any more space to build because it's sandwiched between sort of the mountains and the sea, and there's two cities on either side. So they're kind of running a bit out of space, and like rental prices and things have gone through the roof. I think they've gone up about 70% in the last 10 years or so. And so, lots of local people, particularly people who grew up in their neighborhoods and such, are being priced out. And so, it's a really a big kind of issue for the local people at the moment.
I feel like it's a common thread a lot of places, right? And you're very politically minded. Look, we'll talk about it in a second, but you go out of your way to try to expose yourself to American politics, which you deal with VPNs and regional broadcasts and stuff like that.
I've got a CNN stream that I can plug into. Not CNN International. We don't like that. We like CNN Original.
So Ben was so early social media. Do you remember back in the days when Twitter started? There was a race to 1 million followers on Twitter.
I do remember that.
Do you happen to remember who that was?
Oh, it wasn't Justin Bieber, was it?
It was. You're close. It was Ashton Kutcher.
Oh,
whose name I always pronounce correctly. People never say his last name, and for some reason, I don't know why, his name comes up all the time, and they don't like the way I say Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher. Like, that's it. I'm done.
What's he up to? Yeah, he's kind of falling.
Don't. Let's let him lie. He actually, I was saying the other day, he decided to come out and go. He's now pro AI being used in art and movies. It's like, why are you taking this stance publicly, man? Like, do you not have enough bad press?
It's easy to not talk.
It's so easy. It's so easy to not do it. But the race was between him and the CNN account, which then we all found out wasn't the CNN account.
I remember it was CNN BRK, and it was just some random dude posting the headlines.
Right. He had some kind of API that he would strip the headlines and post it on Twitter. Yeah. And it was, I couldn't think of anything more internet than Ashton Kutcher and a fake CNN account were racing to be the top accounts on Twitter.
And it also turned out, I think, because it's sort of in the terms of service, you couldn't buy an account. So CNN wanted to buy it. So they had to hire the guy just to get his account.
And fired him.
And then they fired him.
Did they really?
I think they did.
See you, bud.
It's a long time ago.
But so I was in Isle of Skye recently, which is a tourist area here. And there was a political cartoon that was like just taped up on the wall. And I read it. And it was like, oh, this could be anywhere. Because it was talking about how people come in, they visit Isle of Skye as tourists. They're like, I love this place. It's amazing. I'll buy a holiday home here. And then they turn it into an Airbnb.
Right.
A rental property. And then everyone else does the same thing. And suddenly there's no one to service the Airbnbs because all the local population has been priced out of the market.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually one thing that Barcelona has just done in the last week or two. So the mayor announced that he's going to effectively ban all Airbnbs. Mm-hmm. So they currently have licenses, but essentially they're going to be allowed to expire over the next 3 years. And then, 3 or 4 years' time from now, there will be 0 apartments for tourists. You'll have to go into a hotel.
Right.
Which seems sensible to me.
Seems sensible to me as well. The other interesting thing about Barcelona is that it's in Catalonia,
Yes.
which is an interesting thing. There's a few regions around the globe that are part of a larger country, but they're like, no, we're not. Like we're our own thing, and Catalonia is that.
Yeah, so in Spain they call them autonomous communities.
Okay.
And it's essentially, I mean, you could also think of it a little bit like the UK in the sense they have sort of devolved governments. So there's England, Scotland, Wales, and then some things like healthcare is devolved to the individual nations. I'm not an exact sort of perfect example, but kind of similar to that. And yeah, for Catalonia, there's a long history of, there's a big movement to essentially leave Spain, sex it, if you will. I don't think that's the official term.
It is now. I'll use it from now on.
And yeah, so there's a lot of history to that. And like I say, I'm only a year and a half in or so, but I'm trying to catch up and sort of integrate with the culture and learn about the history. And
are you going to learn Catalan?
Yeah, well, I'm learning Spanish now and getting a good hold on that, and then eventually Catalan. Yeah.
Is it to the point where if you speak one, it's pretty easy to understand someone who speaks the other?
It is, yeah. I think I had a friend who speaks. She's Mexican, and so she spoke, sort of Latin American Spanish, and she went to go to join a university course and didn't realize it'd be taught in Catalan. She was told otherwise. So she arrived and said, "I don't understand anything in this class. I'm kind of screwed." But no, it was like within a couple of weeks, she said she'd kind of picked it up. I was like, "Oh."
Well, my mother, when she was a nun, she she lived in Toledo for a while, Toledo, Spain, and she spoke Castilian Spanish. And I'm not pronouncing that correctly because I always feel like I'm putting on an affectation when I try to speak with a Castilian accent. See, I just can't do it. So is that, and that's different. So there now, it's fair to say 3 dialects in Spain? Congratulations, by the way, on your victory last night in the Euros.
Oh man.
Defeating France. That was great.
Yeah. Speaking of little tears, I had a little tear on that.
Well, listen, we watched history in the making. That kid, 16 years old, the youngest person ever scoring a championship.
Yeah, Lamine Yamal, 16. Yeah, he's a Barcelona player as well, supporter of the Barcelona team. And yeah, so he's the youngest person ever to score in a European tournament, either the Euros or the World Cup. And it's a very, very big moment for him. And, we actually saw the other day, there was a picture of him as a baby. I don't know what the context was. He's like being held by Lionel Messi.
Right.
And he's now being called the next Messi. It's very, very random.
That's bizarre to see that, because how did the parents know to have him take a photo with Messi?
Very random.
And according to the announcers during halftime yesterday, because he scored in the first half, that the previous player who held the youngest age for scoring in a tournament was Pele. So that's extraordinarily lofty company to be keeping.
And it was a great goal as well.
It was a great goal.
Yeah.
It was great. He almost had another one too. He got right over the top. Yeah. Yeah. But they won 2-1 versus France. England plays the Netherlands tonight. I flubbed yesterday and got the dates reversed, but hopefully nobody missed any games based on my information. My expat Euros scheduling.
So you're going to be. So do you have? You're going to get your England shirt out tonight. We're going to be.
Hey, listen, pal. What are you going to do if England and Spain get into the championship?
So this is the thing. So far, they've been separated. So I've been able to support Spain in one game, support England in another game, and that's all been fine. And so my worst nightmare is coming to pass. If they both end up in the final, I'm going to have to pick a side.
What are you going to pick? Can you?
I'm not even crossing that bridge yet. I'm just sort of mentally. Let's see what happens tonight.
Well, either you're going to have to hope that problem comes to fruition, or you're going to have to root against England. And I have to say, if you want to root against England tonight, you're in the perfect country.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah.
I asked the internet, I was asking, what other regions are similar to Catalonia where they're considered to be part of a larger country, but they consider themselves to be separate or independent, or there's a large movement. Scotland was the first on the list. We have the Scottish National Party here, the SNP, which took a hammering in the elections last week. Quebec was one. And then there's the highly contested ones, things like Taiwan, Crimea, and Palestine. So there's all these regions all over the world. Kurdistan was in there as well. I wasn't aware of that. Tibet, another famous one. Okay. Yeah, there's all these regions all over the world, but I would say Catalonia is not at that contentious level. It's somewhere, I think, a little bit ahead of Scotland.
Well, I mean, Catalonia, we did have I say we, I wasn't there at the time, but there was a a sort of referendum to leave Spain, which passed, and then was later ruled to have been illegal. So it was nullified.
By who? By Spain, I assume?
I think so. I think they basically did their own referendum, and Spain was like, we don't recognize it.
Okay.
I'm not going to, I don't know all the perfect details on this.
Ooh, awkward.
But so the elections that just happened, one of the things that the Prime Minister had to do to be able to win again was he had to offer amnesty to the people who had conducted this illegal referendum. And there was some violence as well, so he had to pardon everyone.
This seems like an ongoing political dance.
Yes.
Is there any like undertone there that this could turn dark or violent?
Well, there are. There's a specific flag that is flown quite in a few streets, which is an independence flag. So you do see that quite a bit walking around. There's marches. There's people gathering in the square, all flying the flags around. It does feel a little delicate, yeah. But
Yeah.
I think it's going to be okay.
But there's like, even in your lifetime, there's historical precedents for these things working out. Like, maybe not exactly the same, but, like the UK handing Hong Kong back over, to China. That's still going to be.
I did not know about that until I saw The Crown.
Oh, is that right? Is that where you learned about this?
That's actually true.
I should also point out when I was doing the intro, Ben is probably best known in Rooster Teeth for being a clone that we kept in the closet.
Yes.
And for the interview that you and I did where I quizzed you about world history. Still one of my favorite videos of all time, by the way.
It is very funny. I recommend to watch it.
You set the precedent for what was one of my favorite series that I ever did.
What did you call it? What
do you know?
What do you know?
Yeah. You had to be quizzed and act like an expert in a topic you had no knowledge about. Yours was world history.
So the only thing you can't do is say, I don't know. You have to
can't
give
say
kind
that.
of your best interpretation of what you think happened.
You can't say I don't know. You got to have an answer. You gotta, And I did Pokemon, which was just, the younger audience knew that. I don't know anything about Pokemon.
And there was like a really niche one that like people. So you said like, what was Watergate? And I mixed up with like a Simpsons episode. I was like, it was like Waitergate, where like a waiter killed someone at a party. I was like, what? And I watched it back. I was so confident in that answer as well. Like I thought that was actually the right answer.
And that was one of those pieces that you put out, and it was like people fell into one of two categories. They either got the joke or they were angry. Either way, they were entertained,
Are you not entertained? Yeah.
or they were just furious about it. I also have to say, we can talk about this. We'll probably do like a longer one for the Patreon where you talk about some of the old day stuff. Mm-hmm. But also later in that series when I interviewed Kara, it was...
She did Star Wars, I want to remember.
She did Guy movies.
Guy movies.
And she gave an answer that was the hardest I've ever laughed the entire time I was at Rooster Teeth. They had to stop. I was laughing for like 15 minutes straight. We were talking about Back to the Future. And she said, I said, what kind of car does he drive? And he said, it's Camaro. And I go, right, Camaro. And I go, and what happens, how fast does he have to drive to make it travel through time? And she was like 200 miles an hour. I said, so it hits 200 miles an hour and it travels through time. And she goes, yes. And I said, which direction? And she said, as straight face as you can imagine, north. And it just killed me. It just absolutely killed me. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I will say this about you and I, me now being in Scotland, traveling over here to your lovely birth country. You spent some time in my lovely birth country. You're now in Spain, loving your new home. I think we're both grateful to be out of Texas right now, especially. Did you read the story where Hurricane Beryl has knocked out the power in Texas? And the power company, their monitoring equipment is down, so people can't monitor where the power is out. And so people have crowdsourced a new way to do that. They've been using the Whatabungle app, which has real-time information about which locations are open or closed.
Oh, my God.
And there's 700 locations in Texas. So they're using this to figure out where the power outages are. It's just incredible to me. It's like every time I hear about Texas, there's some wild story like this. Texans affected by Hurricane Beryl and its remnants are using the Whatabungle app to track power outages in their area after the outage map for CenterPoint Energy, one of the state's largest electric companies, went down this week.
Well, life finds a way, doesn't it?
Life finds a hamburger.
That's, who said creativity is dead? That's great.
Is there anything you missed from your time in the U.S.? Did you ever eat at a Whataburger?
I did not. I had a few Chipotles in my time. I liked that. I do say the Domino's there does hit different. It is a lot better than the UK Domino's. It's a lot greasier. A lot dirtier. I like it.
where it's like the perfect kind of
They
balance.
don't. They don't have the technology. to
No,
do it.
no. Or there's probably like laws that protect people here from things like
I
that.
think that's probably true.
When I picked Ben up at the airport, I had to bring you a Domino's pizza and a chocolate brownie because I just remembered you as
Yeah.
15 of living on those for like about 90 days when you came to visit.
Those brownies above Congress, they slapped. They were great.
So good. Do you know that's actually one of JD's? The Hideout was the
Hideout,
You're talking
yeah.
about the coffee place, right?
Yeah.
That's still every time we go to Austin, JD wants to go to the Hideout. Everyone has such really incredible
still
memories.
there?
It's still there. They like cut down every building around it. It seems like and
Yeah.
built a giant like 30-story hotel where the old Rooster Teeth office used to be, but still the Hideout Cafe and Improv Theater.
Improv at the back, yeah.
That is still standing.
I do remember as well when I was trying to order there, every time I'd ask for water and they would say, I'm sorry, what? Oh, no, oh, can I get a water?
Water.
Water.
All right. Well, Ben and I will probably have a longer conversation where we ruminate and reminisce over years at Rooster Teeth gone by. What employee number were you at Rooster Teeth? Do you know the number?
I think it was 8 or 9 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, like right after Jack and Brandon, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crazy. So long ago, such a long time. And now look at you, man
Half
of
my life
32
away.
years.
Oh boy, do I feel it.
All right. Well, that does it for us today. I will be back. Ashley will be back as well tomorrow to talk to you. We hope you'll be here as well.
Bye, everybody.